What's up, guys? It's the trucking guy, Money Penny Trucking, coming back at you, bringing you some content. Please like, subscribe, follow the channel, check me out on Facebook and Instagram, leave a comment, please. But let's get right into it, man. Why you should be running trucking GPSs. You should not be using Google Maps. It's going to put you in a bind. This is really for my hotshot guys because semi guys have the experience for the most part. They're going to be running trucking GPSs, or they're going to kind of have a knowledge of the way things work, right? You've got your main routes, you've got 10, 40, 80, you've got 65, 75, 95, everything going north-south, right? 5 in LA. You got all these different, main roads that, once you get to driving, you kind of just know them when you've been all over the place. And you know which routes to take, which things not to do. But, guys, when you get into it as a hot shot, and you're just stepping into the industry, you've not driven a bunch, and you're using Google Maps, Apple Maps, right? I see a lot of guys doing it. Hell, I did it when I first started. Some of my guys that, I started out in lease trucks or buying trucks and put drivers in it. They did it. They didn't have a lot of knowledge. Even though they had their CDL not for very long, they didn't have a lot of knowledge. They didn't buy the trucking GPS. And you end up in some crazy situations, man. Going through the Rockies, going over, national forests, it's crazy stuff, right? Especially even going through the Appalachians, the Google Maps will take you what they call the shortest route, and you'll be up some wagon trail in the middle of nowhere where there's no people. It's unsafe. Your equipment it's a no truck zone going there anyway. And you're just following, Google Maps for you rookies, right? So you really have to pay attention and stay on the main interstates the best part of your time that you can, right? So if you don't know, now you know. You need to get a trucking GPS, okay? You can get them in any truck stop loves. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them anywhere. The Garmin Diesel is a good one. Ronald McNally has them. I mean, there's a bunch of different brands, but you need a trucking GPS. Now, can you download a trucking GPS app on your phone? I've tried to do it. I haven't had any success with any of them. They seem to all suck. So I would just, spend the money, get the trucking GPS. Now, what the trucking GPS does is you put in, your 65-foot long, your 70-foot long, whatever, and your height, you're 14 foot tall or you're 13 foot 6 or whatever you want to, if you're doing an oversized load, you can say you're wide, you can say this, that, whatever. You put in your equipment, right? And you just click, go. And then whenever you put it in, it's going to keep you on the routes that your GPS can, or that your truck can legally be on, and the safest route. So you're going to stay on the main interstate. So I'm going to give you an example here of a situation where you'd be going through the national forest on Google Maps, but on a Garmin Diesel or on a trucking GPS, it would take you 40 to 17 down to Phoenix. So let's get right into it. I'm doing a quick example of why you need this trucker GPS, right? This is a perfect example, and this used to happen to me a lot running Google Maps. But say you're coming to Phoenix, right? And for those of you who are not running trucking GPSs and you're new to trucking and you're in the hot shot, so on and so forth, this is an example, okay? You're coming off of I-40 here, right? And you come through Albuquerque and you're going from 40 to Phoenix, Arizona, okay? This is what's going to happen, all right? The best way to go to Phoenix, Arizona is to go from 40 right here to 17, as you can see it. 17 is right here, okay? You're going to Flagstaff, all right? So you go to Flagstaff and you come down 17, boom, right to Phoenix. And you're on interstates the whole way. And it's super easy, super nice. Now, what Google Maps is telling you to do here is it wants you to go through a national forest, okay? So it's going to have you get off, and this used to happen to me. I made this mistake one time, never did it again, okay? But you're going to go through this national forest, all right, and some crazy hellacious roads. There's tons of wildfires in this area, guys. So it's a camping resort area. It's mountainous. It's as you can tell, the tons of curves right here, and you're going through some serious different grades. But the amount of time that you spend going through the national forest here, okay, is the same amount of time that you could, and it's going to be longer going from 40 to 17 and down. But you're going to go through this crazy forest, especially if it's at night, guys. You don't want to go through there. What if you run out of fuel? What if something happens? You're going to be stuck in the middle of nowhere, right? You don't have great cell phone reception going out through here. It's basically Indian reservation area, right? So you don't want to just run with a Google Maps on your phone, guys, because if you don't have a trucking GPS and you're taking a trailer through these areas, man, you're really going to put yourself in a lot of binds. But as you can see, if you're not paying attention, and what can happen with Google Maps is it's always trying to basically, send you the shortest route or mileage wise, right? But this route is going to take you hours longer, going over these hills, going over these mountains to get into Phoenix. And if you're towing heavy, you don't want to go over these hills. You don't want to go through this national forest. Now, it's a pretty scenery. It's a pretty ride. Don't get me wrong. But it's just not something you want to do. So one way to avoid this is you could click as your destination Flagstaff, and it would run you to 40 or through I-40 to Flagstaff, and then go from Flagstaff to Phoenix. But then you'd kind of be going too far into Flagstaff, maybe to the city or whatever. So you got to know when you're going to stop over around this area here at the split, and then continue on 17 and run on down to Phoenix, right? But this situation happens a lot. You can end up going through the Sequoia National Forest in California with mistakes like this. You can go through several different just wagon trail roads, guys, that you don't really want to be on with, commercial motor vehicle equipment. Unless you had a delivery over in this area, then it would make sense. But if you don't have a delivery, you want to stay on the interstate. So you would run 40 to 17 and down, be on the interstate the whole way, be where you could get towed, where there's going to be people, where, if you need something, you have an emergency, a breakdown, there's going to be fuel stops. There's going to be more populated area out there than there is going through this national forest, right? So this is one example, guys. There's many examples I could give you, but this is one on why you need a trucking GPS, guys. In the truck, they're a little bit pricey, they're $300-400. Some of them you can get for $200, $250. I used the Garmin diesel when I was running. A lot of my guys run the Garmin diesel, but the Ronald McNally is good too. It really just depends on what you want to run, but you need a trucking GPS. You need to stay away from using your phone and Google Maps, and use professional equipment to do a professional job. So there it is. There you have it. You don't want to go over the national forest. You don't want to be in situations, especially out there. They have a lot of forest fires out there in the mountains, guys. Or even in, other areas in northern, California. You're going through, say the Sequoias, or you're going through different areas of the Rocky Mountains. You're going to get off some back wagon trail. It happens also going into Grand Junction, Colorado. The GPS will take you over some crazy mountainous road when you can just stay on the interstate and cruise right in there, man. Save you a bunch of time. And you're risking your life going over these mountains, guys. If you don't know what you're doing and you're in a hotshot truck, you're going to see boulders. You're going to see road getting washed away on these mountains. You're killing your truck with the transmission, taking it over these crazy hills and turns. You're going to get out there and there's no fuel stations. It's tourist areas, guys. That's like the scenic route. You don't want to be on that. You're a commercial motor vehicle. You need to be on the interstates as much as possible. Unless you have a delivery in a crazy area like that, then you can't avoid it. But West Virginia, the Appalachians, the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, the crazy mountains in Northern California, Washington, Oregon. There's tons of mountainous roads, guys, that will take you way out of where you need to be. And it says it's going to be 2 hours, whereas if it winds up being 4 or 5 hours, ruining the whole trip. You don't have cell phone reception. You get out there and get stuck. You hit a dead end where you can't make the turn, and you're just stuck out there. What are you going to do, guys? So don't. And I see it happen. I see if you guys see on the memes on Facebook and stuff where the Swift truck goes up some backwoods West Virginia mountain road and the road's all washed out and they try to make it. The trailer goes in the ditch and the whole truck flies off the mountainside, right? There's just a certain point where you cannot do that stuff, guys. You just can't. You're scared to back up, but you're better off stopping right there, calling somebody, getting it towed out of there, dealing with it the right way than trying to make it and make it worse. So just get a trucking GPS. You have to have one to run a commercial motor vehicle. If you're not really educated on the roads and the highways in the country and know, north, south, east, and west, and you're just getting into it and you don't have a good, sense of the lay of the land, basically, then, you're going to get yourself in a lot of situations, guys, that you don't want to be in, okay? Some of those roads may not be plowed. Ice, snow, things that, it looks good going out there, and then you get into it and it's just, you can't even tell what's road, what's not road. Okay, so just guys, get the trucking GPS, spend the $250. It'll be a lifesaver, and it'll save you a whole lot of headaches. For you guys that think this video is BS, rookies should already know that. I get it, guys, but this is an educational video for people that are getting into it that have no clue. You're going to be running, these roads with Google Maps, and you're going to go through national forest. You're going to go through crazy, and it's pretty, guys, some of the scenic land, but you really don't want to be out there if you're pulling a 20,000-pound dozer through from 40 to Phoenix and you're going through that national forest. You don't really want to do that, guys. So for those of you that have experience and are familiar with those areas, and you're even running semis, and you're telling these guys all, grow a pair or whatever, and just, we do it all the time in these heavy units. You're familiar with that area. These guys aren't, so it's not good for them to be, stranded out there, out of fuel, out of cell reception, in an area that they shouldn't be in. Something else I want to add, guys, is you get out there on some of these roads, and this happens also in detours. You'll see the interstate shut down, and you'll go to Google Maps, and there'll be a detour, right? Well, that detour might work for a car, but it might not necessarily work for a commercial motor vehicle, a semi or a hot shot with 40-footer, 43, whatever, 44, 48. It might not work. So I asked the police officer who might be from there, hey, what's the best way to get around this? Should I wait till this is cleared up and opened up, hit the truck stop, wait on the side of the road, whatever, until this is cleared up, and then just go straight through, wait a few hours, because you might get yourself in a major bind. The other thing is, you get off on some of these roads, guys, sometimes there's severe flooding. I've been down some roads that, they detoured me, or Google took me this way or whatever, and I get there and I had to back out 5 miles, guys, because there was nowhere to turn around and it was flooded, and you don't want to put your truck in 4 foot of water, or you don't even know what's going on. It could be deeper than that. The road could be completely gone. You don't want to take that risk. The other thing is, guys, when you buy these trucks, some of the new Rams and the Fords, whatever, even the Denali's and stuff, the Chevys, but they have the GPS in the truck, right? The unit. That is also a civilian GPS, guys. It's not a trucking GPS. That GPS will also sometimes take you through those national forests, take you through certain areas. I used to use mine in my brand new F-350 Lariat that I had, and it would take me down. It was crazy. So I just ended up getting me a Garmin diesel. I'm not 100% sure if you can't get a chip from like Garmin diesel or Garmin or somebody to put in the truck to make that unit work in a commercial apparatus. But if anybody knows that, comment, let me know. I would actually be interested in knowing that. But I was always curious about that, and I should have looked into it. But the Garmin diesel did good by me, guys. You can keep it updated, and roads that end up washing out, or things that happen that won't put you on. And then you get into some situations where you have deliveries in those areas, and you need to call ahead and kind of get a plan. But also in northern PA, for instance, right? There's a lot of roads, guys, that are no truck routes. Like, to get to this city or to get to this mega plant, this manufacturing facility, whatever, you have to stay on a certain route, and there's only one way to get there and one way to get back. And if you take any other side street, guys, you won't be able to make it. And what happens up there is they actually give you like a $1,500 ticket for getting stuck, and then you have to pay a tow truck to come in there and get you out. And they may have to disconnect the truck from the trailer and bring a small little day cab truck to get it maneuvered around. They may have to pick it up, winch it this way, that way, whatever, because you just get into a dead end where you can't back up, you can't go anywhere. And these roads are old roads, old brick roads, or bridges, or low bridges that you can't take a semi. You're going to come to a low bridge and you're stuck, and you've been driving down these back alley roads in the city for whatever, long period of time. Same way in New York, guys. So the trucking GPS is going to help you avoid the low bridges, the routes you're not supposed to be on. When you put in a route and you say, I want to go here, it'll say, hey, there's no way to get there. So then you need to call that, person who's receiving that product and say, hey, how do I get it? How do I get in there? Right. Other situations I've had where, you get to a certain place, say up in the mountains. This happened in West Virginia to one of my guys. They wanted him to deliver across a creek. Right. And at that point I would have said, no way, man, this isn't in my job description. My equipment is not going through. And I'm talking like a big creek, almost like a small river. They wanted him to drive across these pebble stones and stuff, and this washout that they made to get to the other side to deliver. And I think it was like a log cabin kit. And it was a hot shot truck, and he did it, and he got stuck, and they had to pull him out of the water to get him over there, to get him unloaded. Then when he was coming back through, he got stuck again, and ended up they had to have a dozer come pull him up. And he ended up damaging the equipment, the truck, the transmission. He was going over some crazy gravel road, and the road washed out. The trailer fell in the ditch. It was a nightmare, right? So a trucking GPS, and then plan your work your plan, guys. Know where you're going, know what you're doing, look up the route, pull it up on, a lot of my guys, they have ex-military backgrounds. They're running. They pull it up on Google Earth and actually look and see, what facility they're delivering at, how to get into that facility. So you can pull it up on Google Earth. You can look at the map. You can actually pull it out and find, the elevations, the roads to get in and out. And what looks like it's going to be chaos and what looks like it's not if you're going into tight situations like that. The majority of the time you're going to deliver to manufacturing facilities, you're going to pull right off the interstate, 40, 10, whatever, and just right in there and you're done. But there are going to be times, guys, where you have to deliver to these chaotic places. And if you're not familiar with them, just know when you book a load going to PA, what part of Pennsylvania is it going to? Is it going to Pittsburgh? Is it going to Southern PA? Is it going to Northern PA? Am I going to have to ride the turnpike a long way? Because that's another thing. Google Maps will have you on the turnpike when there's other routes that you can stay off of the turnpike to avoid the tolls and different things, depending on where you're going. And you can use a truckrouter.com, and it'll actually tell you how to route, how to avoid tolls, how to save money. That's another thing you can do, and actually print out a route like you used to do back in the day with Google Maps. You'd print out a, turn here, turn left, turn right type of thing. But the trucking GPS, guys, is a lifesaver. Make sure you get one, and it'll save you a ton of time, ton of headaches, and a ton of towing, different things that are going to come up. So anyway, that's the Trucking Guy signing off. Please follow, like, subscribe, turn on notifications for the channel, and I appreciate you tuning in. Catch you on the next one.